Hello, and welcome to Steph-Udall. I am, ominously, Steph. And it's Halloween, or Hallow-weekend at least. At first, I couldn't decide what to make for Halloween, but I remembered that there was a doll I'd wanted to make for a while now that could work. He's a character from a video game that I cannot stop thinking about. And that is Omori from, well, Omori. Omori came out on PC back in 2020, but only made it to consoles earlier this year. I managed to avoid spoilers for 2 years, and I'm glad I did. So I won't be spoiling anything past the first hour of gameplay here. I'll be chatting a bit about the game later on in the video, but in case you wanted to look up and/or play the game, I do want to provide some content warnings. This is the warning screen from the start of the game. As you can see, while the game does have a lot of light and funny moments, it also deals with some very heavy topics, and when it gets dark, it gets very dark. So it's definitely not a game for everyone. With that said, let's get on to the doll. A creatable world doll seems like the best choice for Omori, considering their childlike proportions. And since I've had a few in my stock box, I also have some white shorts and a black tank top that I'll be able to repurpose. First things first, I remove the head. The doll already has black hair, but it'll be much easier to achieve the style I want with yarn hair, so off it comes. I remove the factory paint with pure acetone and some elbow grease. These faces are very hard to remove. I lightly sand the body and spray it with Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat, waiting 30 minutes in between each layer. I'll be using white PanPastel to change the skin tone this time. I build it up over several layers. I think I ended up with like 5 or 6. To help avoid chipping around the neck joint, I paint on a thin layer of super glue. Once that's dry, I can reattach the head. I very carefully wrapped the body before spraying the head with a couple of layers of MSC. I build up the same white pastel before sketching out the face with a grey watercolor pencil. I work my way up to black watercolor pencil, then acrylic paint. Omori's face is simple, but because it's simple, it means I really need to take my time and fine-tune it. So the title, Omori, is a shortened version of the word hikikomori. It's a Japanese term for someone who is experiencing acute social withdrawal. Basically, they are shut in and they close themselves off from society and the outside world. And the game is sort of split into 2 different spaces. Well, several spaces, but 2 different sort of areas. You've got headspace, which I would say white space is also a part of. White space is just blank, a vast blankness, I guess you would call it. It's empty, it's devoid of color. But there's also the rest of headspace, which is pastel and lively and full of friends and adventures that are very fantastical. And yet there's also a sort of underlying through line of impending darkness. This darkness that looms around the edges. And that's contrasted with sort of the waking world, because headspace is sort of like in dreams and in the subconscious, and the waking world, or faraway town, where you can either choose to stay inside and not go out, or you can choose to go outside and see your friends and explore the town and see what's happened. I'm not going to explain much other than that. So the game deals with, as I've noted, very heavy topics, not least of which is unaliving oneself and self-hurt. I'm dancing around these terms because I don't know what I can say on YouTube and what I can't, but let's say that. And depression, anxiety, trauma. And I think there are parts that it misses, like the story doesn't quite work. However, overall, like the mood, that sort of looming, omnipresent darkness that's just around the corner, that's always just there, I think is portrayed pretty well in terms of how depression works and how, pushing down your trauma doesn't make it go away. It's always still there. It's always watching and waiting. And that sounds really bleak, but it's true. So yeah, this game was both very fun because it does have a lot of fun, very silly sections, like where you're fighting bunnies and like different little dudes. And when one of your friends falls in battle, they turn into a literal piece of toast because they're toast. I mean, one of your first sort of tasks is playing a game of hide and seek. This is a game that has both made me laugh hysterically out loud and also bawl my eyes out. The classic I laughed, I cried. But it's true. This game took me places. Some of it was hard to get through. And while I might disagree with a couple of narrative choices, I think overall I still really enjoyed the game and it made me feel feelings. And I do enjoy when a game both tickles my funny bone and makes me feel feelings. No sparkle or catch lights needed here, so the face-up is done. I paint his scalp black. And what's this? A new camera angle? I thought I'd give this a try to show gluing on the yarn wefts. I'm not sure how well it works. Welcome to my messy workspace. Since Omori has short hair, I trim every layer as I go, so I just need to do a bit of cleanup at the end. And here's what he looks like after some styling and hairspray. I need to add some stripes to his shorts, so I use a fabric marker. Then I set the pigment with my iron. Now we have the striped shorts and black tank. I made these socks off camera. I used hem tape for the first time and it was super useful, so thanks for that idea, Moonlight Jewel. Now all that's left to do is get him dressed, and he's done. What do you think of my version of Omori? Have you played the game, or do you want to? And do you have any game recommendations for me? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I should make more characters from the game? Because I think it would be fun to also make Basil. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and click the bell icon to get notified every time I post a new video. All of my social media will be linked down below in the description. I am most active on Instagram. And if you really like what I do and you want to buy me a coffee, a link to my Ko-fi tip jar will be down there too. And listen, don't worry. Everything will be okay. And until next time, bye!